I took my driving license test in a GTR.
Hang on. Welcome to another episode of the Soju Bomb podcast. My name is Anthony Orque. I am currently joined by our esteemed team here. We have Kim from Senpai Squad. We have Marvin Squarenoodles, and of course, Young James, the return of Young James, our intern. And it's another beautiful day in Las Vegas. It's beautiful, quite warm out, so
nice and toasty.
Nice, super toasty. It was at a humble 108, I think. Was just a humble 108. But I hear Kim and Tina had a photo shoot this morning. In that humble 108. How was it?
It's not that great.
Of course, yeah. And if you guys see their outfits, oh man, I wish can you stand? You want to stand up?
Sure.
I want to see. I kind of want to
Look
show
at
the
that.
folks. Dang, bro. If you guys can imagine, this dude wakes up like this, like literally straight up.
They're ready
I
to
woke
go.
up like this.
And that's not even the funniest part. The funniest part is like the matching set, the ensemble that
You guys have to like provide photos of both of you guys
Yeah,
together,
actually-
so like we can link it.
let me make a note of that. Is this going up on your? Is it already on Instagram?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet. All right.
Not
Sorry. Drop date. My bad. All right. So I'm gonna make a note to like plug this in. We're here again after a whole night of drinking. How do you guys feel after last night? It was
Thanks to Tina for providing the supplements.
dude, shout out to that milk thistle though, man. If we
Yeah.
can get some milk thistle and vitamin B sponsors, I'm super down for that.
So I'm feeling good. Even though I didn't get much sleep, I'm feeling good.
Yeah. Kim, Tina, did you guys get any sleep? Nice.
We woke up a little too early because of the sun hitting our eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's a little bit warm too, so not only is the brightness, you're like, oh, like it's burning and shit. So so we were supposed to start like earlier. So we were supposed to do like a solo episode just with the three of us earlier.
Didn't happen.
But one of us fucked it up because I forgot to set my alarm, and last night was a good time because we had steaks and soju, and whenever that happens,
Always a good time.
I always like get a hella food coma. So, anyways, as embarrassed as I am, we're here again today to have a wonderful, lovely wine-filled discussion with a very special friend of ours, actually. And so, to cue this up, so to cue this up, obviously, this is us kind of getting our feet wet into like having guests on the show. For me personally, super nervous, super shy. Just because this next person that I'm about to introduce, she's kind of a juggernaut in the industry from me. So I didn't tell her this, but I'm actually like a car guy, and my cousins from like the 90s and the 2000s would take me to like car shows, like Hot Import Nights, Spocom, Extreme Auto Fest, stuff like that. So kind of being in the same presence as her right now, it's kind of it's kind of surreal.
Yeah.
So anyways, if everyone in the room would please give a round of applause for Miss Xena Kai.
Thanks, Xena. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi Xena, how are you?
Thank you. I don't know if I was supposed to clap,
Sure.
You deserve a self applause.
but it's my turn to shine.
Yes, definitely.
Feel free.
No, the floor is yours. The camera's all yours. But it's how are you doing on this lovely was it Tuesday afternoon?
Yeah, it's
in Vegas. Yeah, how are you doing today?
I love Tuesdays.
Of course. Who doesn't love Tuesdays?
Taco
It's
Tuesday.
108 degrees outside. This type of heat makes you rethink all of your life choices.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Well, it's interesting because and I'm sure you've already shared this and stuff, but you just recently came here to Las Vegas from LA. So
Yes.
first of all, like why would you leave for 108? Like that's crazy.
Exactly.
There is one person I blame for this, and his name is Marvin Squarenoodles. Just switch the camera to him. Just shame him right now.
Sorry.
Totally bro. So the funny story is there's I call it like the great pilgrimage of Squarenoodles because like he straight up like not only did his full pack like up and leave, he brought like his brother and he brought like this army of like
He
of, like,
brought
models up
this
here.
army of models. all of his models he
sorry.
brought.
I just need to ask, like, how does someone do that, dude? Like, I
He
don't
is
even-
so good at selling you stuff. Okay, here, Marvin. If you are not a photographer,
Yeah.
you should work in sales.
I actually did sales.
Oh,
Yeah,
see?
that's
No,
why. See, that's
no.
why.
Yeah.
See?
I was
I
like,
want-
I don't want to brag, but I was like top 10 in my region. And
Dude, this fool, yeah. We're gonna break that down someday too. I want
Yeah.
to hear all about that. But that was, yeah. So a lot of people don't know that Marvin's like the best salesperson probably I've ever met on the face of the earth.
He's a salesman with as a photographer on the side.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. The photography is the side hustle, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So obviously getting back on track.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marvin.
No, but hey, you know, man, I'm a great salesman. And the only thing I sell to you guys is your dreams.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's gonna be so
Just shut up and take my money.
all right. So anyway, so obviously you're here in Vegas.
Mhm.
But before we kind of get ahead of ourselves, let's kind of talk a little bit about you and like your background and everything. So, for those of the folks that don't know or aren't into like the car scene or anything like that, like tell us a little bit about yourself and feel free to go off, please.
Yeah.
Well, where do I start?
Dang.
Humble beginnings.
Humble beginnings.
Yeah.
I was born in the beautiful San Diego, California.
Nice. Wait, did you say Balboa Hospital?
No,
No.
I was born in the ghetto,
Okay. Got it.
National City,
Oh, nice. I know that. That's my hood.
and I think it was like Paradise Valley
Paradise
Yeah.
Hills
or
Hospital.
Paradise Hills Hospital.
Hospital.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout
so
out to San Diego people.
Shout out ST baby, National City son. Y'all talk about titas. Nice.
yeah. So I grew up in Vegas, though.
Okay,
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah, I was born in San Diego, and I think at the age of 6 years
Mhm.
old, I moved to Vegas with my family.
Mhm.
I was here until I was 18.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's a long time.
So
to be
you
big.
know this area, like.
Right.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like, I remember when Marvin and
Yeah.
like them first moved here. He's like, "Yeah, all the good foods here." Like, you know, he was telling me about it. So,
Yeah.
but this is essentially like your hood. Like, you know this place
know
pretty
more
well.
than me.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
went to middle school down the street.
Right.
I went
Yeah.
to high school down
Yeah.
the street.
That's
so
crazy.
This is,
Mhm.
I'm really familiar of where
Yeah.
everything is in
Yeah.
this neighborhood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes Xena and I would be driving around. I'm like, oh yeah, Xena, there's like spots here, there, and there. And Xena would just be like, I know.
I got this.
I'm just like,
Nice.
oh, fuck.
Nice. All
Yeah.
right. So, going into high school then. So, what was dude? Actually, because I have a couple friends that went to like Durango and
Mhm.
like Secta and everything. So, like, what was like high school life like here back in the day? And were you always into like cars and stuff at that time, or like how did you get into like the modeling aspect?
Oh, that was before high school.
Wow.
So, yes, I swear.
Way
okay,
before.
so when I
Dang.
was still living in San Diego, I
Okay.
had this uncle
Nice. Shout out,
Who-
Uncle.
who was really into cars.
Mhm.
And he would bring home car magazines. This was in the 90s, okay?
Nice.
Like import was huge in the 90s.
It was.
Right.
It was.
And he would bring home the car magazines, and of
Mm.
course he had crushes on the girls, but I used to look at the women and I used to think they were so beautiful.
Nice.
Oh.
And I was like 5 or 6, okay? And
Wow.
I used to look at them and I used to think, oh my God, like I want to be as pretty as her. Like,
That's
Yeah.
cool.
They are
Yeah.
beautiful.
Wow.
they
Wow.
are. They're
Yeah.
very beautiful. And so that just stuck to me
Mm.
my entire life. Like
yeah.
even after I moved out of San
Mhm.
Diego, I was here in
Mhm.
Las Vegas.
Mhm.
I grew older, and during middle school, I'm just like, man, I want to model. And then during
Wow.
high school, I was like, fuck, like I still want to model.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Dang.
man, I want to and I used to fangirl
Mhm.
over the other women who were
Whoa.
modeling.
Huh.
You're
You still like right now, as you do right now, right?
Yeah, still.
Yeah, just like gushing over your like.
Yeah.
Well, I
hobbies.
still fangirl over models. Like
Mhm.
I'll see a
Dang.
model and they're really good with their photo shoots. They,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
design everything, or at least I think they do. But well, modeling's hard work. It's not just
Of
standing
course,
in
of
front of
course.
the camera that everyone thinks
Right.
that, but it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work.
Yeah.
But I still fangirl over
Mhm.
specific girls.
Nice.
But yeah, like in high school, I used to fangirl over them,
Mhm.
yeah.
and I know which girls.
Well, yeah. Are there?
Yeah.
Was this the Tia Tequila like era? Like,
Yeah.
models?
That was
Okay.
it,
Okay.
yeah.
So that
That
was
was
middle
it,
school for
yeah.
me. Yeah, I remember that, like Tila Tequila.
Yeah,
and stuff.
Tila Tequila was like huge.
Mm,
Now
yeah,
she's.
bro.
Have you looked at her now?
If you no, I
I've
haven't.
never seen.
Here,
it
let me
in a
pull it
long
up. Let me
time.
pull it up.
Okay,
Let me see.
she's like crazy now.
What?
Whoa.
20. Hang on.
Yeah.
Let me.
Dang.
Tila.
Not trying to talk
Tequila.
bad about Tila, all right?
Tila
But
Tequila
Jeez.
2020.
She
How
just
about
went
that?
like the other
Yeah.
way.
Whoa! Wait.
Yeah.
Wait. Word?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
There's videos
Aw.
of her saying a lot of racist stuff.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yes. No. Even
What?
more. Even more.
It's just extreme.
Holy
Just
crap.
just really out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. I guess
Yeah.
everything
Dang,
kind
the
of.
last time I saw Tila was like Shot of Love.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
show. I was about to say
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
That was it. But
Dude,
dang,
that's
I didn't know it was
crazy.
turned out for like the worst for her. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah. A
Mhm.
shot at love with Tila Tequila. That was 2007, bro.
That was a while ago.
Dang. That's the thing that for me, I mean, I'm kind of boomer, so like it feels
Yeah.
like still recent in recent
Mhm.
times for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap. So, but anyways, to put it in perspective for everybody, that was kind of that generation of
Mhm.
like import models and stuff like
Right.
that. Cause dude, I remember being a kid in middle school and stuff, and like it was all like freaking import tuner stuff, like JDM Life,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had stickers on my binders of like
Mhm.
GTRs and shit. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was the cool thing to like get like import tuner was kind of the main magazine that I would
Mm.
rock. So
Yeah.
I remember
Import
those
tuner
times.
was huge.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think
absolutely.
it was big because of the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, true
There
that.
you go.
True. So, all right. So going back into it then. So obviously when it came, so obviously you've always had this passion for like modeling and everything.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
when did that come into fruition for you? Where you're like, finally, it's my time.
Okay, so
Or before that, like how, like, you said before high school, right? It's like, how early did you like, start or like even like wanting to do this?
I wanted to do it since I was like in elementary school.
Oh,
This was like
dang.
ingrained in me.
Yeah.
That's that young?
Yes,
Holy
that
shit.
young. Because I saw those magazines when I
Yeah.
was
Mhm.
like 5, 6
Mhm.
years old, maybe
Mhm.
even before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's stuck with me throughout the years,
Mm-hmm.
even through middle school and then high school. I still really wanted to do it, and it was just calling me. And out of all of the random hobbies that I've ever had, which are a
Yeah.
lot, by the way,
we'll get into it. We'll get into
Did
it.
you have ADHD when you were a kid?
I don't know what it is. I get like obsessed with a subject, and then I like to learn. So I'll
Same.
research a lot about this one subject, and
Yeah.
then I would know more than average on this one subject, and then I'll find something else,
Mhm.
and then I'll research more about, and it's just like this.
Yeah.
It's an endless cycle. It's a vicious
It's a-
It's a
cycle.
giant
Yeah.
web, basically, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But
Nice.
modeling was what stuck with me, and
Mhm.
how I started actually is, and whoever is listening to this right
Mhm.
now, if you want to model,
Ooh.
do not do this, okay? Don't do this.
Way to go crush people's dreams.
No. There, just
How she did it.
No, just be safe. Okay.
Ah, okay.
So
Got it,
what
got it.
I did was I was on Model Mayhem and Craigslist.
Oh,
Whoa,
dang.
Model man
You
is
outing yourself?
OG. Hang on.
What
wait.
is that? What is that?
If,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Give
Yeah.
him a
Model
rundown.
Mayhem is a website where
It's still up.
think of it like
Still up,
a
yeah.
social media website, but
Yeah.
for people in the modeling industry.
Yeah.
So models, photographers,
Mhm.
editors, clothing
Mhm.
companies,
Right,
stylists.
yeah. Mhm.
They're all makeup artists.
So it's
They're
like
all
a-
on this website
Trying to
to
connect-
collab.
Mhm.
Yes. So I was on there,
you still?
and someone moved to Vegas. A photographer moved to Vegas and
Mhm.
wanted to like collab with people.
Mhm.
And he worked with a lot of people, and he had, whoever he worked with, they said good things about him.
Mhm.
So then I went
Mhm.
to shoot with him, and I also brought my friend, my guy friend.
Right.
So like a big,
Nice.
Yeah.
this big guy.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that I was
Make it
still
feel
Always do,
safe.
safe.
always
Good
do
idea.
that.
Good idea.
Always do
Yeah. And I did that behind my mom's back.
Ooh.
Wait, how?
I was 16.
Whoa.
Yes.
Xena, you should know better.
I know better now. Okay, that's why.
Dang.
That's why there was a warning. Do
disclaimer.
not
Yeah.
do this because you don't know what danger you're putting yourself in
True.
if you do this.
Yeah.
Okay, but lucky for me, the photographer was a good person.
That's always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I did the shoot. My friend Evan was there, and I just after I got the pictures, I showed my mom.
Well, you're just so proud.
Yeah, just like,
Surprise.
Mom, look at me, look good.
They
Yeah.
were just headshots.
Oh,
Okay,
okay,
okay.
okay.
They
Nice.
were, yeah. They were just English is hard.
Shots.
Yeah.
She said the word of the day. Sorry, we're
God
such
dang it,
alcoholics.
Kim.
I know.
Yeah.
It's too early, bro.
But headshots.
Yeah,
So
headshots,
just-
headshots.
So from there, I still wanted a model, and then
Nice.
because my mom was very happy with the pictures, she was very strict, by the way.
Oh,
Of course.
yeah.
She let me
Yeah.
do it as like a fun hobby. So then she would
Gotcha.
accompany me to
Mhm.
shoots, and she was very aware of
That's
that.
cool. Yeah.
And I used to go to, I went to a couple casting calls to, because okay, Las Vegas has a lot of conventions, okay?
Yes.
So
sure.
I would go
Very
to
true.
casting calls with her and I would never get picked,
Oh,
but I would still go. Not, no,
Dang.
yeah.
I've never got picked from one casting call.
Aw.
And, but I would still go because it was like my dream.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were
Wow.
persistent. Like, this is what you wanted
Yeah.
to do, right?
Yeah, and everything I shot, it was just what I wanted to do. I would always look up to other models as well.
Yeah.
I would see what they were doing. I'm just like, okay, this is a really cool shot. How do I pose like that?
Mhm. That's
Cool.
yeah. That's a
Yeah.
that's a good trait to have, being very observant and like implementing what you like
Yeah.
to your like
True.
for yourself.
Yeah.
And so when you were never picked, like how did that like give you like what's the like feeling like? Like what made you keep going?
Yeah. Good question.
Did
I
it bring-
wasn't doing it for money.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah.
It was just my dream.
you were doing it for the love, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was doing it for,
Okay, that's
and
crazy.
now it's like I look at it and I see a whole bunch of models and I know a lot of models and I know
Mhm.
that they make bank.
Mm, mm.
But even then, like even now I make a comfortable living from it.
Yeah.
And
Comfortable.
if I wasn't,
Hey, I'm just saying, you're being very humble, but sure.
Hey, humility. I mean, no, it's good. It's great. It's great. Don't let
Okay.
that put you off.
Yeah.
all I'm trying to say is that if I made $0 from modeling, I would
Mhm.
still be doing shoots every month.
Oh.
That's
Yeah.
sick.
Mhm.
I would still be
Damn.
working with you every
Yeah.
month, even if
Mhm.
my income was zero.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So really just doing it for the love of it, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
That's so dope.
Mhm.
Like you don't, because it's okay. Listen, coming from a very traditional Filipino background, like that's so following your dreams. Like, have you guys seen Joe Coy's special at all? Like he talks about like he's like every Filipino nurse you could tell like they weren't told to follow their dreams. You know what I mean? Like, that's not their
Yeah.
dream. You know what I mean? Like I dreamed to be a Jabberwocky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, shit like that. Like
Ooh, no
so
more.
it's such a breath of fresh air to hear like someone actually following like their passions and dreams, because it's so
Yeah.
it's very it's very rare to hear someone that's like super into what they've been into from like a very early age. Like someone
Yeah.
like me, I'm very like what? Like
Yeah.
squirrel.
Yeah.
Because it's because there's so much, especially in these days, like there's so much new shit, right? Like
Wait,
I want to
hold
be a
on.
YouTuber now.
Squirrels are interesting.
That's true. That's true.
In
I
what
get
way?
distracted when I see a squirrel. I think it's
Yeah.
the coolest thing, and I try to be fucking Snow White.
shout out
I'm just-
squirrels if you're out there. Come look for Xena. She'll come hit it up with you. Or regardless of squirrels, and
I
how
start
great they
trying
are.
to sing with
Birds start rolling deep. Dang, we should see that. We should like cut to a scene of like
Mhm.
Cinderella.
Yeah. It's like that entire scene of Up, like Doug Squirrel.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was referring to. But essentially, my ADHD, right?
I just met you,
Yeah,
and
of
I
course, of
love you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very Doug-like. So, anyways, yeah. So going into it though, like, there's a lot of folks that like say they want to become something
Mhm.
like early on, especially like as a kid, right?
Mhm.
Like everyone's like, I want to be a firefighter and stuff like that. Well, you
Yeah.
said I want to be a model, and you're like still that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very respectful, very,
Mhm.
very, very like it's. I don't know. It's for someone like me. It's great to hear that, and it also kind of piques my interest because like there's certain elements of that, right? Like obviously you talk about your challenges. And it's so hard to believe that you weren't picked for like casting calls and stuff because that's like, what, really?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
especially back in
Yeah.
the day too, like when I feel like there were a lot more people like that were like getting into like the modeling scene back in the day. Like I had homegirls back in like high school and stuff that were like auditioning and stuff for like Fast and Furious movies mainly.
Mhm. Yeah.
Was what it was, but yeah, it's
yeah.
interesting to hear. So,
Yeah, I just so like you started wanting this very young, and I'm just
Yeah.
gonna go back to like Anthony's question before mine was that, like when did it start picking up for you? Like it's kind of when you're saying that you've never picked for one casting call, but
Mhm.
like you're very successful right now in this field. It's like what was the like
The point.
right after there? Yeah, like how did it blow up? Yeah.
Okay, so I grew
Like
up
what
in,
was your breakthrough rather?
well, I grew up in Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
and then after I graduated from high school, I wasn't allowed to go away for college.
What? So like UNLV?
Instead,
Well, I had a very okay, I don't know how do I say this. My home life was unhealthy.
I see.
Yeah, so I wasn't allowed to go away for college, even though I had good grades. So I was presented with two choices. I was either going, my mom wanted me to either stay and live with her, go to the community college in Las Vegas, and then transfer over to UNLV and then get a degree.
Yeah.
Or I could move to San Diego in with relatives and go to school there. I chose San Diego. I would.
What? No, why?
Independence.
Yeah.
Well, home life was very unhealthy.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It was
Right,
very
right.
unhealthy, and I'm open in talking about this, but I don't want to go too into detail. But
Sure.
it was abusive.
Okay.
So I knew that as soon as my big problem in life was my home.
Yeah.
And I knew that I needed to leave, and I was willing to do whatever it took to leave. And I was like, okay, well, I have to go to San Diego, and if I go to San Diego, then I'll be away from my mom,
Yeah.
and then I could build something for myself.
Start building a better foundation.
Yeah. So that's what I did. And then when I was in San Diego, I was working at a fast food Filipino place down the
Yeah.
street for
National-
$7 an hour.
Holy moly.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's low.
Yeah.
Very, very low. And it was
Yeah.
part-time. And
Oh man.
I know this is illegal, but if I went over 39 hours, because 39
Right.
hours, then
You get
40
benefits.
hours,
You get
you have, you're supposed to get benefits and all that.
Yeah.
But if I went over the 39 hours,
Yeah.
I wouldn't get paid for that.
you wouldn't get
Would
Holy-
not.
what the heck?
What?
Yeah. So I had to make sure,
Gotcha.
let's say
Wow.
a coworker called in sick.
Mhm.
I have to
Right.
make sure that it's less than the 40 hours because,
Yeah.
Hey, dude.
well,
That's-
he was, I think it's fucked up, but the owner was struggling,
Gotcha.
and so
And you're trying to be supportive.
and I'm trying to be supportive of him, but at the same time, just like, well, this isn't fair to me.
That's
Of
true.
course.
So, I moved to San Diego and I still wanted to model. This was like,
still.
Yeah.
I swear it was imprinted on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I still wanted to model, and I'm from modelmayhem.com.
Mhm.
I got
Still there, by the way.
Yeah, still there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got into touch with a group of photographers.
Mm.
Nice.
Yes. And they would do group shoots, and they worked with all these good models, Playboy models, cover models,
Yeah.
etc.
Are you allowed to shout them out, or
Mm.
they're no longer?
Drew
around?
Santos.
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
Yes,
Shout out
he
to Drew.
did.
Shout out, Drew. Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout out to John Shinavasan
Hey,
Nice.
there you go.
because he really helped me.
Yeah, girl,
Yeah.
just
Like,
shout them out.
so,
You know,
so
it's like
much.
straight up, like this is your like early beginnings, right? These
Yeah.
are the people
Yeah.
that help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from that group, there's like this is a
Yeah, long.
big
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
So from that group, I was always taking the train, the Amtrak.
Amtrak, yeah.
Yeah.
Shots.
Yeah, just to fill up the voice.
We get drunk.
I like that's how that's our go-to.
I love how like
Oh
the
my
pause, just like I need help. I need save me shots. The Amtrak. That's a
Amtrak.
beautiful ride. Yeah.
It is a beautiful
Mhm.
ride.
Yeah.
But I was always going back and forth LA to
Mhm.
do shoots, like group shoots with
Mhm.
them and try to build up my portfolio.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they convinced me. They talked to me. They're like, Xena, you're here all the time. Why don't you just move here? And I was scared because I was like, well, I have a job
Mhm.
in San Diego and I also have my family. And if I were to leave, they would be really mad at me.
Yeah.
And they probably won't accept me back
So
because
this
Wow.
that's hard.
Did that weigh heavy on you? Like, cause what was your and again, you don't have to go too deep into it, but like, just real quick, like, what was your relationship like with your family at that time? That was like, kind of like,
okay, so I have a big family,
nice,
lots of aunts and uncles.
Yeah.
nice.
But the particular aunt that I was living with,
Mhm.
we are not on good terms.
Even right now?
No.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Gotcha.
That's a whole nother.
Oh, start. Okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. Another
So-
episode.
Yeah, another episode. So I knew that if I were to leave, they would be very angry.
Mhm.
However, I knew that if I were to leave, I knew that leaving was the best for me.
Mm.
And so I left.
Yeah, as you
Yeah.
should. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I left.
But hold on, like that's crazy because a lot of people, like when they're put in like that tough situation, and then even though they know what's best for them, they don't have the courage to do so, right? So props to you for actually taking that big leap forward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So we're talking about you moving up to LA and making the difficult choice to leave your family in San Diego, and I kind of divulged a little bit about like what that meant for you and your family as far as like you leaving and how big of an impact that would make. But let's talk a little bit more about like when you finally get to LA. So what was
Mhm.
kind of that like? 'Cause it was your first time being like independent, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I woke up on the beach.
Ooh.
Okay,
Oh,
Little Mermaid.
Well,
I was just like, what? Okay, explain.
Not on the beach.
Okay.
But I moved in with one of the photographers who
Okay.
was so nice to me,
Mhm.
never took advantage of me,
Mhm.
Nice.
just a good person. And like every day, I just think of him. I'm just like, dude, I wouldn't even be here right now without him. And that was John. So thank you, John, because
Yeah.
I
Shout
owe
out
a lot
John,
to
dude.
you.
Shout out John.
Yeah, so out of that, okay, there was a group of photographers, like I
Mhm.
said, that I was constantly hanging out with, constantly working
Mhm.
with, and they were the ones who convinced me to move to LA.
Mm.
So, they're like, okay, well, John needs a roommate. Why don't you just room with him? He just signed a new lease, lived there for like a year. And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay. So, I took the train
Mhm.
up to LA. I
Yeah.
met John at the train station, and
Wow.
then we had lunch, or not lunch, dinner.
Mhm.
And then, I moved into the apartment, and he works a 9 to 5. He was a
Mm.
developer, like
Oh.
a software
wow.
developer
Right.
too. Yeah.
Cool.
And so
Okay.
he's gone, and then I woke up. I was like, okay, let me like explore the neighborhood.
Mhm.
I was across the street from the sand.
I'm sorry,
Whoa,
you
yeah,
had a
you're like-
beachfront
yeah.
like
Yes.
crib?
Wow.
Well, not beachfront. Okay, here. So I was in Hermosa Beach. The apartment complex that we were
Mhm.
living in. There's one road. Okay, here. So here's the apartment complex.
Mhm.
And then there's one street.
Mhm.
Across the street, there is the Strand.
Mhm.
Are you familiar with the
Whoa.
Strand?
Yeah.
No.
Okay,
but-
I
the
am.
Strand,
Go.
for those not living in LA, the Strand are the houses that are beachfront.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this is behind the beachfront.
Yeah, so I was behind the Strand. So this was like feet.
Yeah. Probably like 50 yards.
Yes. I don't know yard measurements, but I'm just going to agree.
The
150
metric
feet.
system.
150 feet.
Yeah, but basically it was across the street from the beach. And I was like, oh my fucking God, what is this?
What life am I living?
Yeah, so I lived there for a year.
Holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
So cool.
What a life. Holy shit.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I lived there for a year.
Wait,
And during
you lived there for a year and you didn't know that you were living on the beachfront, or you?
I didn't know I moved there until
You
the
got there.
day after when
got
my
there.
roommate John
Mm.
was away for work and I wanted to explore the neighborhood. I was really unfamiliar with
Yeah,
LA. I didn't know anything. I'm
so
from
like
Las Vegas.
you lived there for an entire year. You didn't know you lived.
No.
Right.
No,
Oh, okay.
No, I moved
She
Okay.
realized.
I moved
Oh,
there and I
right.
realized a day later
Got okay.
Yeah.
where I was.
How
It's
nice
my
it
house.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
was like, oh my God, is
Yeah.
this like how rich people live? I've
Wow.
been poor my whole life. Like, wow. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
once you find out how grand it is, right, or like
Mhm.
what, like kind of the situation you're in. So how do you use that position to where like you kind of like start making your way up?
Okay, so the group of photographers that I was
Mhm.
close with and hanging out with all the time.
Yeah.
They're like, Xena, you gotta go to school.
But, what?
Word?
Okay.
Whoa.
They're like, Xena, you gotta go to school.
Have you
Xena,
ever
you
told
need
that to
to.
any of your models at all?
No.
Actually, hold on.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You want the best for your models,
Mhm.
and you'll always push them for more.
Right.
So I would say yes. Not school
Not
specifically.
school, but
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
better yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So at that time, your photographers thought that the school was better for you.
Well, at the time, no one was making money off of modeling.
True.
There was no
Mm.
social media.
Yeah.
There's no Patreon.
Mhm.
Dang.
Nothing.
But
How did we live?
in my head, I'm just like, do you think like even though people there was no social media, like you think people was big on their own community and they were making money off it, or there's just like really no one?
They were making money off of it, but it wasn't sustainable.
Okay. Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
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 Even Playmates still
That's true.
had another job.
That's crazy. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Wow.
Yeah. That's like I guess.
So
it's
for
just
them, for those photographers, and they worked. Okay, so these photographers photographed Playmates.
Mhm.
All the cover models. They also have their work in magazines and covers and like all of that. They did all of that. So they knew the girls. They were living the industry. None of the girls lived
Wow.
off of modeling.
So
Wow.
that you had like an inside scoop of the industry, and they were trying to help you out by saying, "Don't do this," like to go to school or something, right?
Yeah, well, they were like,
Gotcha.
okay, we'll keep doing this, but you
Mhm.
also need something else to support, to
support yourself.
fund,
To fund. Ah,
to
okay.
fund
Yeah.
your work.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
They weren't like telling you to stop modeling. They're just like, yeah, you just need to live properly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
So okay.
yeah.
So that okay. I had the wrong thought. I'm just like, go to school. Like
Yeah,
like,
well,
model.
I mean,
Yeah.
this
Right.
is just proof that the industry is different
Was
from
it
10
from-
years ago.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. That's
Yeah.
it. Kind of puts in perspective because, like, what we're used to now
Mhm.
didn't exist that like during those
Absolutely.
times.
Right.
So
Mhm.
it's so interesting. And again, kind of like, I think back to the very strict Asian parent, like go to school, get your
Mhm.
degree, make money and
Yeah.
stuff. Like, I get during that time, like that was still very prevalent, and that's
Mhm.
why, like, I'm not really surprised that they told her that because, that was kind of still the path that a lot
Yeah.
of people were on.
that was
Yeah.
the norm.
Exactly. So, all right. So, going from that, did you end up going to school? Like, what was that process like from
Yeah.
that piece of advice?
I did. So I
Oh.
went to community college part-time.
Mhm.
And then in the process, they were also talking. They're like, okay, well, you go to school. I did that. And they're like,
Mhm.
okay, well, now I have to get my license.
Mhm.
So they taught me how to drive.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
I took,
yeah.
okay, here. I took my driving license test
Uh
in a GTR.
huh. Shut. Hang on. Nah. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out.
Wow.
Sorry. Wait. What the fuck?
You
Yes,
worked your
I
whole
know.
life, dude.
Please, stop. Power down. Power down. You're over 9,000 right now.
Oh, what a flex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the?
What?
Okay.
That's straight up, dude.
Do you remember which was it? An R32, 33, 34? What do you know? What kind? Sorry,
Honestly, I'm a model. That stuff's over my
Yeah.
head.
You
Just
know
the
it's
fact that it's a
I just know.
GTR.
Yeah.
Holy crap! Sorry. Was it
Did you-
stick?
No.
Okay.
It was the
Or-
newer ones. The newer ones are not
So the
stick.
R35 then. Okay,
With
had the paddle shift.
Paddle
yes,
shift.
yes.
How the?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Did you got it?
No. Okay, so from, wait, what?
Did you like drive fast with it?
I was just very careful. Okay, here. So this is a story with
Okay,
that.
please. Oh.
So I told you in that group of photographers, there is, I don't know how many. I want to say around 10 in that group who are really nice. So one of the photographers, his friend needed a model for a show. Like he needed a promo model, spokesmodel, whatever. Like I just had to be at his booth. And the company was some type of like diving scuba company. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like I'll do this for the 10 days.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my driving permit was going to expire. And this wasn't in LA. It was a little north of LA. And I told my friend Peter, I was like, okay, Peter, I would do this for you and your friend. However, my my permit is going to expire and I'm learning how to drive right now. So I can't leave LA. I would do it only if you taught me how to drive and then took me to the DMV for the test. But
favor for a favor, yeah.
Yeah. But I was like, but other than that, like I really just need to get my license. And I was going to pay a school to teach me. I was going to pay.
Like driving school.
And-
Just kind of like in that position.
Yeah. And he was, he said, he was like, oh, I'll teach you how to drive. It's honestly no problem. I just really want my friend to have a model at the booth because it was his best friend.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it for you. I thought he had a Prius. Usually when people have a nice car, they have a Prius.
Yeah, they have
A
a daily.
They have a daily. They have a Prius, or they have like a Civic, a beat up Civic, and no, he only had a GTR.
Sounds familiar.
Well, I didn't know.
Oh my god.
And so when I found out that was a car that I would be driving it was either that or a Porsche. And
were you nervous?
well, it's an expensive car. And I was like, oh my god, like I was like, what if I mess it up? Right?
Yeah.
And he didn't care.
Oh,
He was just
what a
rich
baller.
people problems.
It's okay. It's just a GTR.
I got another one at home.
Yeah, it's all right. Go for it.
No, I guess like he was so successful that the GTR was his daily and the Porsche was his weekend car.
What? Oh,
I
wow.
don't-
This guy, dude. Wow.
I don't know.
Right.
Anyways, yeah. So that's the car.
All I gotta say, dude, you must have made that dude's day at the DMV.
That was-
You're like, word?
Yeah.
He didn't know how to get into the car.
You know what's funny? Whenever I drove, I used to have a GTR.
Uh-huh.
Everyone would be like, "Is that a 12-year-old kid driving it?" No kidding. No kidding. I went by a car meet and somebody filmed my car and tagged me, and I heard in the audio, "Is that a 12-year-old kid?"
Oh my god.
And I was
Do
like,
you have that clip?
"I have it."
Dude,
I have
send
it,
it. Send it. That's so fucking funny.
Whoa,
But-
that's crazy. I mean, I presume you passed it.
Yeah, I did on my first
Nice.
try.
Nice. You're worthy to drive the GTR. Nice. That's so sick. Okay, so talking about your license now.
Okay.
So school license.
Yeah.
That whole spiel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the group of photographers
Yeah.
that I was hanging out with all the time, they were like, okay, go to school. I did that. Get my
Nice.
license.
Mhm.
I did that.
Yeah.
So whatever they could just throw at you to do, you were like, yeah, I'm gonna do it because this is what you feel like is best.
Well, I
Right.
knew that they had my future
Best
in
interest.
mind and my
Yeah.
best
Mhm.
interest in mind.
Nice.
So I followed their advice.
Gotcha.
And then their advice actually led me to do import modeling.
Nice.
Good.
Here we are. It's all right.
So-
She's been through worse.
So it was just like import modeling, right? So it's like they told him like, hey, keep doing this. You went to school.
yeah.
Did you finish school at that time? Like
Not
how-
yet. I was just doing community college at the
Oh, yeah.
time,
Oh,
Yeah.
doing it part time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then so you were doing that part time and then on top of going to school to obviously provide for your future self while
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
doing import modeling.
Mhm.
Like how was your import? Like how was your modeling?
Yeah. Like, how
Yeah.
was that for you at that time.
Like again, like the breakthrough, right? I'm still curious as to where the breakthrough happened.
Yeah, so that group of photographers would go to the import shows. They take pictures. They were friends with all the girls. And, you know, they also were friends with all the playmates. And it was, they're good. They were successful in photography.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they convinced me to go to a show. And I've always wanted to go to a show.
Yeah.
But I was really nervous about going. Because before, you know, during my high school years, I would go to model castings and I'd always get denied.
So the trauma kind of came back a little bit.
Well, that was, you know, I mean, I kept doing modeling because it was my dream. And even though I was, you know, getting denied, I was like, okay, well, this hurts, but I'm just going to keep doing it anyways. But also in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, well, if I'm getting denied for model castings, how, you know, I'm not going to do well at an import show. But it was quite the opposite.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
how were you received?
Some wins.
Well,
what was your first show?
Yeah, it was S.T.E.M Anaheim.
Oh dang.
Ooh.
I still hear that. That's still ongoing,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. In the, I think it was 2011.
Nice.
It's 9 years ago. And you know, my photographer friends, they convinced me to go.
How old were you?
Even though 19.
19.
Yeah. And I was kind of hesitant to go because I was like, I don't know if like people will like me. I don't know anyone there. And for those of you that don't know me in person, I'm very shy. So Marvin chuckles because he knows.
Yeah, seriously. It's like, it's insane. But yeah.
But they convinced me to go, even though I was nervous on going. And I was like, okay, I went. And they were just like, okay, Xena, this is what you need. You need prints. You need to put your name on the prints.
Yeah.
And they just told me what to do. And I just like followed what they told me what to do because I was like, okay, well, you know, they know what they're doing.
Right.
So I was at the model lounge and this was like a long table of a whole bunch of women, a whole bunch of models trying, you know, and I remember the girl next to me was on like covers and like very popular. I'm just like, oh fuck, right?
Yeah.
I was like, why do I have to sit next to her? Like, why can't I just sit next to like someone normal because no one knows me?
Yeah.
But I was still like very nervous and going.
Yeah.
Okay, what ended up happening was I had this entire group of people in front of me taking my photograph, asking to get pictures with me the entire show.
Whoa. Okay.
Yes, and she
And
ended
that
up,
was your first time?
yeah, and she ended up leaving.
Whoa!
I felt bad for it.
Yeah.
She ended up leaving early. I was like, okay, well, maybe, you know,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
she
was
had
just
something
feeling-
to do. She had
Right.
something
Yeah.
better to
She was
do.
just
But
feeling tired.
She had another
Uh,
game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
but I was like, holy shit, right? Okay, so from this one show, S.T.E.M Anaheim 2011,
Yeah.
I got a magazine cover.
Damn,
Nice.
okay.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
First car show.
Yeah.
Yes,
Damn,
first car show. I got a magazine cover, and the photographer, it was for Performance Auto and Sound Magazine, Pass Mag for short. And the person who shot it was Steve Batanga.
Whoa.
Who's like huge in the
He's
industry.
a great photographer.
Yes,
I love
and
his
then
work.
when I went to him to shoot it, I traveled 5 hours on bus. I woke up so early. I was so excited.
Yeah.
And I lost my phone during the trip.
Oh,
no.
Yeah, but no. But I printed out everything on MapQuest.
MapQuest. Yo.
Back in the day.
Yes.
Back when GPS was a thing.
Yeah. So I got from that first show, I got my first cover. It's still my favorite magazine that I've been in.
Was it this one?
No, that's different.
Okay.
There's so many magazines.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Trying to find it.
So many
Sorry.
magazines. Like, my bad.
Yeah, so I got my first cover, and I think I was centerfold as well. And then
Nice.
I met 2 people
Mhm.
from that show. It was Mike from Prestige Marketing.
Mm.
He, you don't know him, but
Mm.
your models have worked with him before.
Gotcha.
Whoa.
Okay, so
Okay.
Mike from Prestige Marketing, who is one of my closest friends,
Mhm.
and I also met Tony from It's JDM Yo.
Mm.
And these 2 people hired me for everything. So that first show, I Spokecom Anaheim, I did not get paid to be there.
Huh.
The only way I got paid was by selling my pictures or autographs.
Right.
Okay.
And after that show, that was the only import show that I went to without getting paid, because everything else I was booked for.
Mhm.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
crazy.
That was the only time. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the only time.
Wow.
And then from being there, because I knew the photographer, like the
Mhm.
photographers I was working with and I was close with, they convinced me to go. And then just by being there, I met a whole bunch of other people
Yeah.
that provided me gigs and work. Yeah.
And then has it always been like an ongoing, like, climbing the model ladder since? Or like, I mean, like, dude, this is like 11 years, 12 years, like, or sorry, 9,
9
9
8,
years ago?
9, 10 years
Give or
ago,
take,
right?
yeah.
So like, what was that entire decade?
I
Like,
stopped
following that.
when I was on a high.
8, not bad. Not a bad way to do
Yeah.
it, but why?
But why?
Like, yeah, what was?
I'm like, in my head, I'm just like, wait, if you're like,
She needs a
improving-
sip.
Yeah.
Needs a
yeah.
sip.
I'm gonna
So
need
well.
Yeah.
Needs a
another
sip.
sip
Yeah.
for
Needs a
this.
sip.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm.
So I'm like,
I'm
yeah,
gen-
because at this point, like, you would be like going, right? And like, what?
Keep right in the
Yeah.
wave.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, why stop?
Okay, so at the time, no one was making money off of this.
Oh, it always goes back.
And well, okay,
Still.
here, wait, let me rephrase that.
Okay.
You were, models were making money off of this,
Mm.
but it wasn't enough to
Yeah.
pay for rent.
So it doesn't matter if you're like the top model, like you're
Even Playmates, even the
Yeah.
cover
Yeah.
models, centerfolds, all of that, all the popular girls,
Mm.
they still had day jobs. And they were
Yeah.
doing modeling because
Mhm.
they really loved it.
Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't for money. And all the models and, the entire industry, models, photographers,
Mhm.
and like makeup artists,
Mhm.
they all knew
Mm-hmm.
that they couldn't make money off of this at the time.
Mhm.
So, I had 100,000 followers on Instagram when no one had 100,000.
Dang.
And even,
Dang.
yeah. And even though I was making some money off
Yeah.
of modeling, it just wasn't enough to even pay for rent.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
no one I knew was living off of modeling. Like I
Mhm.
said, like they just did it because they really liked it. So it was at the time, it was the right thing. The right thing to do
Mm.
for me and my future was to go off to college.
Got it.
Okay.
Hmm.
So
Nice.
okay, so there was a good reason why you stopped.
Yeah.
Yes.
Obviously.
So you were going to college, right?
Mhm.
Like from community college to where?
The University of San Francisco.
Yo, Bay
So
Area.
you went San Diego to SF,
I went to San Diego. Okay,
San
hold
Diego,
on.
LA.
Time.
Yeah.
No, sorry, no.
No, you're
Sorry,
good, you're
this,
good.
this NorCal stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
Never mind.
Oh.
sorry.
You're good.
Okay, so born in San Diego,
Mhm.
grew up in Las Vegas,
Mhm.
back to San Diego, went to LA,
Uh-huh.
couple years in LA,
Yeah.
went to San Francisco to do my undergrad,
Mhm.
and then back to LA.
Oh.
So what do you do?
Yeah. What did
what
did you do for university?
I studied. No, just kidding.
Yeah, obviously.
I hope so.
We sure hope so. It's pretty
I
expensive.
was like, God dang.
Yeah,
Yeah. So at the time, it was time to go to university.
yeah.
And make sure you have a filter on that.
For audio only, young James taking a picture of us on
Yeah.
set.
So, So at the time, it was time to go to university, and I didn't know what I wanted to study. And I had a friend studying computer science.
Wow.
And he convinced me to study computer science.
Nice.
And I used to do MySpace.
Yes.
Okay, so all the layouts, I used to make those.
Word?
Yeah, I would make my own.
HTML.
Okay,
Yeah, all that.
HTML, you had to,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I used to make those.
Were you one of those assholes who just like customize their HTML so we couldn't pause your music,
audio.
your audio? Or just like go to your page and just like blasting music. Like, how do you turn this off? Where's the pause button? I want to play my own music, but I just want to check it out too.
That's funny.
I hated that, man.
Yeah. So obviously she wasn't then.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so you were obviously familiar with some HTML stuff, and then going into CS.
Yeah.
Like,
So, it was time to pick my major, and I was like, okay, what am I gonna study? What am I gonna study?
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, like computer science. That's basically just solving puzzles all day, and I love puzzles.
nice.
Yeah.
I think that's
Alright.
just how my brain works.
Yeah.
I have horrible memory. I'll never remember your name. And it's not a personal thing. It's just if I remember your name, it's because I recited it.
It's practice.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, I can't do bio and I can't do all of that because I was just always horrible at all of that. But I was like, well, I'm good at solving puzzles.
Nice.
And code to me is just puzzle.
Puzzle.
It's just like a puzzle. And I was like, okay, well, like I could study computer science. I could be a software engineer after I graduate, and I could solve puzzles all day.
Yeah.
And that's the way I thought of it.
Yeah.
And, in terms of money, tech pays a lot of money.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
And they still do.
Yeah, they
still do.
They still do.
going.
Yeah.
They still do. I have like a friend who's 25, probably 26 now. But anyways, mid 20s, making 400,000 at Airbnb.
At where?
Airbnb.
Yeah.
He's a developer, making
Jeez.
400K a year.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah,
Fucking
insane.
it.
Yeah,
You know
and
how
like
much money
even
that is?
That's
full
stupid money.
Yeah.
That's
But let's just say like
Oh my
holy
God.
shit, like so 400,000 is what a year? Like
even
how
after
much is that a month?
taxes, that's over 200 a year.
Yeah. Let's just 200 a year. That's like 20K a month, right? Like
Damn.
imagine getting 20K a month like right now. It's like what the fuck, dude? That's like
like
way
almost
more.
what something
Yeah.
That's
makes it-
stupid money.
Yeah.
Right. That
Right.
makes
Yeah,
people just
Fuck.
that's more than I could spend each month.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have that friend, and then even the my classmates that I graduated with,
Yeah.
a lot of them have great jobs,
Mhm.
and the starting was over 125.
Wow. Yeah.
Fudge.
Guys.
Yeah, so,
So
they're
this is-
all doing really well.
Is this why like a lot of like commercials or like people are just like, yo, learn to code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
hella ads right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because if you are a software dev
Mhm.
in the Bay Area, starting is 6 figures. Other places are lower. So what people do is they'll move to the Bay. They'll be there for a couple of years. They'll get the salary they want, and then
Yeah.
they'll try to find jobs outside where the cost of living is lower.
Yep.
And then because they're transferring over, a lot of the jobs will match
Gotcha.
what they're making.
Interesting.
Stonks.
Yeah. I was actually wanting to go back to like story, like because you've met my cousin, Angel, and like her boyfriend actually kind of like does the same thing. Like he has a job that's based on the Bay, and then he actually is like so far, like he has to drive like an hour and a half,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then they would meet once a week, and then he lives in like a very like cheap neighborhood. So yeah, like the money's great in the Bay, but like so are the housing in the Bay.
Yeah.
And by cheap, he still means expensive because
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah.
house is still very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you majored in computer science.
Yeah.
And like, how did that go?
What's the sorry? I went to an engineering school.
Yeah.
What's the male to female ratio for computer science folks in the university?
It's so small.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that like having to
Let's see.
share what
How
you
do
can?
I-
You know,
I'm trying to picture. Okay, so if it was me and there were 3 other women in class, that's average.
Oh wow.
How many-
how big's the class?
how big's-
Okay, I went to a private university. The classes are smaller.
Oh.
Okay,
But I would still say 25% of women
Wow.
in class is huge.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
24.
Okay. I just wanted to get an idea on like
Right.
the
So it's a
dynamic.
sausage fest, basically.
Trying
Yeah.
trying to put it bluntly, but yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So,
like, how was that for you? It's like being
Yeah.
in such a field like where it's mostly guys. Like,
yeah.
like what's
What's the culture like? Like
Mhm.
how were you like used to that? Were you familiar with like
yeah? Because it's crazy, right? You're coming from like a modeling, obviously modeling is all girls,
Mhm.
and then very little guys, and then suddenly you're switching to a different field where it's like mostly guys, and
Exactly.
no girls.
So, and I don't speak too openly about this because I don't want to discourage women in pursuing their passions for computer science
Mhm.
because I think I'm fascinated with tech.
Mhm.
nice?
Nice. However, it's known
Mhm.
that women aren't as welcomed in computer science as men are.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's very
True.
known. People talk about it. They're what is it in all of the STEM fields,
Mhm.
Mm.
in all the science, technology, engineering, math fields, and jobs, even in like medicine.
Mhm.
Throughout the years, the percentage of women in those careers have slowly risen
Mm.
in
Good.
all of those careers.
Mhm.
That's good.
With the exception of computer science. Now, with computer science and tech, the percentage of women who work in that field has decreased.
Mm.
And that's the only STEM field that shows that or that has that problem.
Mm.
Yeah.
That- Weird, but
What do you
yeah.
think it would take to make a change in that then? Like what type of like cultural shift or narrative? Like what in order to cuz okay. I'm all about empowerment. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like what do you think needs to shift or change in the narrative for more women to pursue that type of career and thrive?
Mhm.
Sorry, I know it's deep.
I think it's the main problem is an unconscious bias towards women
Mm.
in the field.
Mm.
When you think of a doctor, you always think of a male. And when you think of an
That's
engineer,
true.
you always think of a male.
Yeah.
And these biases are very unconscious.
You always have to say female doctor. So like, no, why can't it be the doctor? And
You,
I always have like,
you never say male doctor
Yeah.
unless it's
You're
just
right.
very,
Subtle.
Right.
unless okay, here. Usually if I'm getting something, if I'm going to a checkup for whatever reason,
Mhm.
I could request a female doctor.
Mhm.
And that's just for my own comfort.
Right.
This is like
Mhm.
unrelated to tech.
Mhm.
But if I don't request that, it's usually just you assume it's
Just
going to
assume
be
male.
male.
So it's-
Yeah.
Right.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it goes
Interesting.
both ways. Like when you look at, when you think of a nurse, you think of a female.
It's true.
Yeah.
Or when you think of a teacher, you picture a male.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or female. My
Female.
bad. When you think of a
Female.
teacher, you think of,
Yeah,
you
female.
picture a female.
Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
it's like the same thing.
Mhm.
But it's very toxic in tech
Yeah.
because the majority of women leave after several years.
Really?
The statistics show it.
Wow.
Statistics do not lie.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Man, it's
Did you end up leaving?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's speaking from experience,
Yeah.
obviously, and that's I wanted to bring that up.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what? Obviously you were into. Well, okay. Before I get into that or too far ahead of myself, like
Mhm.
what were you like in school? Just out of curiosity.
Awkward.
Hard
I
to
was
believe. Hard to
so
believe.
awkward. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Like,
Do tell. Any
I've
stories?
stories?
actually some of my classmates.
Nah.
I've said sorry to them
What? Why?
because
Word?
I've messed
You're just
like
so
I'm still
awkward?
friend. Okay, here. So on my personal Facebook, I have less than 300 people.
Mhm.
And some of my
Wow.
classmates I'm still friends with. That's
Mhm.
because they were always nice to me. But some of them, I actually said sorry because I'm just like, hey, like I messaged them. They're like, hey, by the way, if ever I was rude or anything, I'm really sorry for that. But I was just going through stuff and, it wasn't personal.
It was a face, Mom. Oh, it was a face.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was like, it was just a fake. I was just really awkward, super fucking awkward. Oh my god.
Why though? Because you came from like the import scene. So
Right.
how? I'm just curious. Was that-
Okay. I think I felt something called imposter syndrome.
Mm,
Do you guys know what
that's a
that
thing.
is?
Yeah.
act
Okay.
like I'm dumb. I don't. Well, I am dumb, but act like I'm dumb and I don't know what that is.
Mhm.
Okay, everyone here listening,
I'm a third
listen,
grader.
come closer
Yeah.
to me. Okay, here. So imposter syndrome happens when you work in an industry or you're part of an industry. Regardless of whether you get paid or not, maybe it's a hobby,
Mhm.
but you are passionate about this subject. You know a lot about the subject, and you're actually pretty good at it. However, there is a voice in the back of your mind that tells you that you're not good at it, and that fucks up your confidence, and
Sure.
you just act beta the entire time.
Mhm.
Dang. It's like you make weird decisions because you feel like you can't do it when you're
You're right.
perfectly legible to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. Or probably
Mm.
even the most qualified.
Right.
Yeah.
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 And so like in school, I just never I felt like that. I felt
Mm.
like I'm an imposter.
Mm.
I never felt like I never felt as if I fit in even though I
Mhm.
did
Mhm.
because my work spoke for itself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. Especially understanding like because one of my biggest shortcomings in college was the social dynamic of it.
Mhm.
Like I didn't know how important it was really. Like literally would just
Yeah.
go to school and then go to work. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So when you're talking about like trying to fit into a certain type of like culture or norm, I can definitely see that. So because obviously, the import scene and CS is totally two different kind of
Mhm.
spaces.
Yeah.
And so to be able to navigate that, well, first and foremost, like for you to be able to adapt to that, coming from where you come from and obviously your background, like that's kind of a feat in itself. But also too, like understanding those challenges, because again, you were new to the Bay Area too at the time, right?
Yes.
Like, did you have any family or friends that you were close with?
0.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
Jesus.
So how was it making friends? And I know we're like divulging more into like the social aspect, but like,
Mm.
what was it like? Obviously, you're saying you're awkward and everything, but I mean, did you come out there with like at least a couple friends, or like how was that dynamic of it?
The people that I actually hung out with, I actually didn't really hang out with anyone. If it was just for a social aspect, I think hanging out with someone, I would say it was less than 10 times throughout the 3.5, 4 years that I was there.
Wow.
And when I did
Yeah.
hang out with people,
Yeah.
it was to work
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
to
Study.
to code together or
Yeah.
to study.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing that's actually like really, really like I'm curious about, right? Like usually when you're awkward and like you don't get to build your like social skills and all that, like it usually you kind of go down this spiraling down. Like you just get worse
Yes.
and worse. Like
Mhm.
where did this like confidence come from? Like to suddenly just be like, yo, like I'm Xena Kai, like I do modeling stuff. Like where did it pick up?
I met you.
Oh, Wait, hold on.
Yo,
This isn't part of the script. This isn't part of the script, guys.
It's not alcohol.
This is not part of the script.
Okay,
Hold on.
okay, but yeah.
Don't.
No,
Where's
please elaborate because
Yeah.
I'm genuinely
Yeah.
curious too. I think I know what you
Yeah.
mean, but elaborate.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I there's a couple
Instances.
not years. Okay, there's a couple things
Yeah.
that are missing.
Mhm.
But so, I went to school in San Francisco. I was like straight A's. I was
Cool.
on
Nice.
track to either going to an IV
Mhm.
Whoa.
or
So wait, before that, what was your goals? Like, obviously, like you're the type of person like who always sets goals, right? So when you were learning, right? Because
Mhm.
we're coming from like you being in elementary, your goals was to be like a model for import,
Yeah.
and then you wanted to make it big, and then suddenly you jumped into like computer science.
Yes.
Like obviously, like your goals changed, right? Like what were
Mhm.
your goals then when you were in high school or in
My-
universities? Yeah.
My goal for computer science,
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was going to be a professor.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, I thought I was going to work in industry for a couple years while getting a PhD,
Mhm.
get my PhD, and then become a professor and teach.
Wow.
So
Wow.
you
That's such a
I love the subject.
okay.
Dang,
Oh.
that's such a big
Yeah.
like
So much that you want to
deviation.
teach. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
I have to apologize. I'm full transparency, but I'm just
Oh,
imagining you as like a school teacher.
You're
Well,
right.
I was an instructor during.
So you actually were like
Yeah, I was a tutor part time, and then I also was
Okay.
an instructor. I made I made my own lecture.
yeah.
I was in front of the class, leading the class.
Yeah.
Okay, so it
So
obviously
that's-
makes sense. You're already
Right.
building your
Mhm.
experience to do it.
Yeah, so since I wanted to be a professor, and I thought that was what I was gonna do for
Yeah.
the rest of my life,
Mhm.
Wow.
I was like, okay, well, to be a professor, I need to get good grades. So I
Yeah.
got the best grades. I was like, okay,
Damn.
well, to
Damn,
be a
you got the best
professor,
grades.
I also need to have teaching experience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I was an instructor as well and a tutor
Yeah.
as
Nice.
well.
Right.
Did that
Yeah,
help
so-
with the awkwardness by chance? I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
No, it's still awkward.
It's always just gonna be part of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so like did you end up graduating eventually?
Yes, I did.
Uh-huh.
Top of my class.
Ooh. Well, when you said you got the best grades, you weren't kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I actually was one of the people who was in running for valedictorian.
Whoa.
And it's
Damn.
still like when I got that invitation and I was getting letter of recommendations from
Mhm.
my professors and doing
Yeah.
all of that, it still felt really surreal in me. I was like, holy shit, am I smart? Like, this
The word-
Yeah, your imposter syndrome is kicking in still. Even
Yeah.
you're like top of the class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just a
Yeah, but that
poser.
was like very like it was my last semester. When I think of that, I just kind of really smile because I was like,
Mhm.
dude, like I really wanted to be to teach. I really wanted to teach and help, and I wanted to be a professor and do research and stuff. And like, hey, I was there.
Mm.
I was on track in doing that.
Dang.
That's legit.
Nice.
Yeah.
So top of your class.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know one person that was supportive of computer science
Yeah.
for me.
You
That's
proved them all
crazy.
wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't
Legit.
know.
So
Yeah.
like you were just talking about like, men being biased, right? And kind of
Mhm.
like having this toxic culture.
Mhm.
Like the moment like you had that top grades and like top of the class, like what
Mhm.
did your peers think of you? Like was there still like shit, woman can't do it, like even though you're out here proving it?
Yeah.
Like what was that like?
I don't think they knew because I didn't make it known.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay.
They didn't know I was in the running for that.
Damn.
They didn't know I was top of the class until I walked. And when you walk, they announce that you're
Yeah.
Yeah.
Summa.
Summa
Um,
cum laude.
Dude.
Yeah, so
Dang, that's
there are
big.
probably really. I mean, some of them I would study with, or if we had a difficult assignment or
Mhm.
project. These projects were they're monsters.
Mhm. Wow.
Uh,
I bet.
I'm just thinking back at the projects I've had to code. I'm just like, holy shit.
You're like crying.
I'm just thinking. I'm just like, I've developed a lot of really cool shit.
Mhm.
That took a lot of time and
Mhm.
Yeah. Any you care to share by chance? Any?
a search engine.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Wait.
Like, that's a whole-
like
Is it
Google?
Google?
Don't try to
Yeah,
Google.
Google.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, so I developed my own one, and
Okay, Mrs.
All
Stark.
right. Yeah.
a lot of stuff with like systems and C. So whoever's watching this right now, one of the hardest things to do is how do I explain this?
Yeah.
How do you
Explain
dumb it
like
down
I'm
for us?
five.
Dumb it down. We're third graders right now.
Okay, here. This is what you need to know. Okay, so for computers, there is something called machine language.
Mhm.
And machine language is all zeros and ones, right? Zeros
Yeah.
and ones is all binary.
Binary.
And computers aren't smart. We just tell them what to do,
Sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
right? So they'll go through a series of questions. and they'll see if it's yes or no,
Yes.
and then they'll execute.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And then after machine language, it's all just zeros and ones. There's something called. There's another. Okay, I'm not even going to say the name.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
There is another language that will transform human code language into machine language,
Word.
and it's called assembly.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. So assembly will do all of that. And then, when you make a program, you make a program on your computer,
Mhm.
right? It's in one language that's easy to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And then some magic happens to transform it into machine language.
Yeah.
And that magic happens with assembly language and C language.
Mm.
Okay.
And that's what your system runs off, like Windows system,
Mm.
Linux.
yeah.
Mm.
Like
What's
whatever-
Mac OS?
Mac OS.
Yeah.
Mac OS, yeah, there's so many.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Mm.
And I completely forgot the point of this story.
No,
Yeah.
I asked
So-
what like how.
But what did you develop?
Yeah. What did you develop?
Oh yeah, so I've
engine.
developed like a search engine.
Mhm.
I've worked in assembly. So I
Got
could I'll see a piece of code and then do some magic to transform
nice.
it to
Yeah.
zeros and
Nice.
ones. Yeah, and I've done some system stuff.
Oh,
Dang.
Like what's that
crazy.
one anime system called?
Sword Art Online?
Sword Art
So
Online?
yes.
Sort of.
Sword
Yeah.
Art Online. You know how they say system call, do this.
Yeah.
That's code.
Wow.
That
I didn't know.
yeah,
Wow.
that's code. And do
I
Fuck, I had
I
no
wouldn't
idea.
have known. I'm just like,
Yeah.
cool, MMORPG. Hello.
Relatable.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow. So,
That's so fascinating.
man, that's
those are some
yeah,
accomplishments.
in my head. I'm just like, I know nothing about code. So like, for you to be like top notch in it, like I've done my best to like understand what it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Even now, I'm just like still very, very much like dumb towards like ignorant.
Well, you
towards it. I'm
shouldn't
like,
be intimidated by it. It takes time to learn. It is a
course.
difficult subject. However, I feel as if anyone could learn
Hmm.
as long as they're dedicated
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
they want to put in time.
What what languages do you know by chance, or what coding?
Mainly Java, C, some
Mm.
Python as well. I taught Python classes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Got
Cool.
Yeah.
Just for anyone out there.
Yeah.
And some JavaScript
Yeah.
as well.
Okay.
But as long as you know one
Mhm.
language, the hardest thing is to learn one language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you learn that, learning another language is easier.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Okay. So in the end, it's like you graduated, right?
Yes.
It's kind of crazy because this whole time it's like a freaking roller coaster with you, right? You're like
Huge.
you moved in, you pursued modeling, and
Mhm.
you're like you got your magazine. You're like kind of like 100K when no one had, like you were like top of the line, and I'm just like, okay, like nothing happened with that, and then you pursued
Computer science.
computer science,
yeah.
and you're top of that, and then now you're like. You're back to modeling. Like, what the heck is
So
your
yeah, well,
timeline?
how- yeah.
What the heck is your
So
timeline?
what ended up happening
Yeah.
was in my last semester at college, or even the last, like I want to say the last,
Mhm,
maybe like 2 years before I graduated.
mhm.
I was good at the work, but my heart still said social media and modeling.
Mm.
And I was like, dude, like I can't just quit because everyone I know is making 6 figures. And I just like, that's just so much money. And I'm
Mhm.
so good at this. Like, why would I pass it up? And I've worked
Yeah.
so hard.
Mhm.
But on my very last semester, no, my second to last semester, I had a scholarship
Mhm.
to go to this conference, and it was prestigious to get the scholarship. So I was at this conference, and I broke down at my hotel room,
Whoa.
and my friend V, we were sharing a room. My friend V was there, and she was just like, okay, you know what, just stay here for the day, it's okay, and blah 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 blah, like just relax. And I'm like, okay, and I'm just like, why am I feeling like this? Like I'm so close, and a lot of my classmates wish they were me,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, why am I doing this? And I was like, maybe I just need some time. And I was still in denial until after I graduated.
Wow.
Yeah. So during my last semester, I was interviewing with all the top companies.
Mm,
That's
right. Yeah.
I like Google.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
did that.
Nice.
Let's Microsoft interview. I
Yeah.
did that.
Damn.
And Amazon, I did that
Dang.
too. And so with Amazon, okay, so Google filled up, and since Google filled up before my last interview, they just put me on a list. My recruiter put me on a list to be interviewed with the next batch. That's like a couple months of waiting.
Mhm.
Microsoft interview, I failed.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah. It's pretty hard.
And then Amazon interview, I interviewed with them a couple times, and this lasted my entire last semester, so about 5-6 months.
Oh,
Wow.
hardcore just
Oh, wow.
interviewing?
Yes.
Holy-
Damn.
And God, it was my final interview with them, and it was scheduled in a couple of days. And I just told myself, like, you know what? I don't want to do this.
Dang.
Whoa.
After like
Oh.
4 years, graduated summa cum laude.
And I interviewed with them multiple times. This wasn't like the first
Mm.
one.
Mhm.
I interviewed with them, and so I knew the structure of it. I didn't know the questions, but I knew like a general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was like, okay, well, the questions are going to be in this field.
Mhm.
And I knew how to explain myself because I was in front of the class teaching, explaining
Yeah.
code. I was like, okay, well, like I honestly don't want to do this, and like what's wrong
Yeah.
with me? And I was like, I got this far, and I spoke to like a couple friends, and some of them were just like, do it anyways, and there was like a couple that were just like, you know what, just take a break during the summer.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'll take a break during the summer, and I'll take a couple months break. I'll just do what I love to do. I'll model, I'll travel,
Yeah.
I'll catch up with old friends, and then maybe like September, I'll start interviewing again. And I was like, September, I'll start interviewing again, and maybe come December, January, I'll have a job. Yeah. And then I met you.
Oh. That was like last summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recent.
I remember I
Yeah.
remember he told me about when he met you too.
Yeah. Dang, that was
Hey.
that's crazy because it's like, yeah, that's pretty like, yeah, that was just like last year.
How did you guys meet?
Yeah.
MizziMie.
Mizzy. Oh yeah, that's
Hey.
right. Yeah, Mizzy was here.
Shout out Rose
You're
Queen.
right.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's-
it's like it was like that day was great. Like it was like a pleasure like hanging out with you. And then I know you were doing like YouTubing at the time.
Mhm.
And like I didn't know your entire background, but like
Yeah.
I remember us meeting and then just generally like, hey, this is what Mizzy and I do.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know your entire story. Like this,
Yeah.
like hearing this like now down to like complete
That's
detail, I'm like,
nuts.
whoa.
Yeah.
Like what was it in you that prompted you to be like, all right, cool, like this person, I met this person and like I'm gonna do this. Like
Yeah.
like what made you push that? Like what made you kind of push forward back to modeling again?
Well,
Yeah.
I wanted to take a break and do what I love.
Mhm.
And modeling, it just stuck with me. And I couldn't let go of it no matter what else I did.
Mhm.
It was just always in the back of my mind. I always thought of it. And I know it sounds conceited for me to say that, but to me, modeling is just art. It's just another art form.
Yeah.
And, so during my break, I was like, okay, I'll just model. I'll go to a couple conventions and car shows, and then, like I said, like September, I'll start interviewing again. So then during that summer of 2019, I, because I was OG, I'm like models, even the ones who didn't, or who I'd never met, knew who I was. And I saw my friends back in the day who are successful now. Right. And then I met another model who was just like, this is how much money I make.
Yeah.
It was Marie Midori.
Oh, okay.
Marie, I still want
Yeah.
to shoot with her. Like,
And
I'm a big fan of
she-
Shout out
her work.
Marie.
Yes,
Yeah.
and she just took out. She was like, "Yeah, you could do this," and she took out her phone
Mhm.
and she showed me her statements,
Yeah.
and I was like,
Damn.
"What?" Huh?
There's money in it now?
Yeah,
Wow.
and I was
Yeah.
just like, "Oh my gosh, she makes this much." I was like, "Wow, even if I made half of that, I'd be happy."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Okay, well, there's like a chance I could do this, and how do I do it?" And I want to try to do it, and I still even at the time, I still was going to pursue my
Yeah.
computer science
Mhm.
career,
Yeah.
and
Was this before meeting me or after meeting me? Like
This
the
was-
Marie
this was
situation.
before.
Okay.
Yeah, this was before meeting you.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, well, I could like do this for fun and maybe make some money off of it, and then I could get a
Try at the market again.
a stable job.
Yeah.
I don't believe in stability, by the way.
Whoa.
Well, that's a big
We- yeah, we
statement.
did-
Yeah, that's a big statement.
Wow.
I'm just like,
On next episode.
yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so then I could get a job and then I could do this and do both and live in LA. And by the way, like developers make less in LA. They make
Shit.
more
Yeah,
in the Bay. Yeah, and so I was like, I was willing to take that pay cut to do what I love for a living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'll just do this. I'll just keep pursuing my dreams
Mm-hmm.
while working. And I just wanted to hang out with Mizzy. I
How you met her?
before. So I took a short break from college, and my friend who I met at my first car show was looking for a cosplayer and hired me to cosplay
What was your
Um,
cosplay?
Taki from
Soul
Soul Calibur.
Calibur.
Oh, okay.
Did you
Um,
cosplay prior?
No,
How'd you get the gig?
because I look like her.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'll, put a picture right here.
Yeah.
See that then.
But
And then your cosplay too.
Yeah, so that's me.
Yeah.
That's
Holy crap. That's
That's-
sick, dude.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so he was just like, Xena, please do this for me because you're the only one with her measurements. So I did it.
Hey, not a bad thing. Nice.
Yeah, and then from there I met Mizzy, and me and Mizzy were roommates for this one convention. This was really short. This was like the only modeling gig I did.
Yeah.
And then I always thought she was just like really nice
Yeah.
and had good vibes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and as long as like you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you. And
Mm.
like if you have good vibes, I'll be
Yeah.
very attracted to that.
Mm.
And so I was back in LA after graduation and I wanted to hang out. And I was like, oh, Mizzy, maybe we could do like a cute little, photo shoot, just like hanging out. And she said yes. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know who I could ask photographers. And she was like, oh, I'll just ask my photographer. His name's Marvin. And I was like, okay,
Whoa.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we hung out. We went to some park. We ate some ice cream. It melted.
So wholesome.
Yeah, it was very wholesome. It was just
Yeah.
like hanging out, just
It
fun.
was just like a quick photo walk. That's what it was.
yeah, and I met Marvin. He was so nervous.
Shut up! Stop calling me like that.
He was.
Like-
I could tell.
Shut
I don't know.
up.
Okay, here. So if,
Hey, I was just like, I didn't know this girl, and holy shit, this girl was just like pretty,
Yeah.
and I checked her out.
I'm
prior,
what?
And and then it's like she had like 300K something followers.
yeah.
camera.
Nice.
Oh,
Nervous
good.
Marvin.
Nervous Marvin, yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
okay, so
before
not
the camera
to
cut off.
yeah.
But yeah, it's like I was just checking her out like the day before, and it's just like holy fucking god! Like I've always wanted to be like in the import scene, right? And this
Yeah.
girl was just like legit import scene, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, fuck, all right, how I gotta play my cards right. I was like, 'cause,
I remember
Yeah.
having a conversation with you around that time,
Mhm.
and okay, so not to like gas you up or anything, but
Yeah.
he was just like,
Just kidding.
but like
Yeah.
legitimately, he was like, dude, I'm about to shoot with Xena Kai, and I was like, oh, I know who she is,
Yeah.
and he was just like, he never really says that. Like normally when he shoots, he just shoots,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
he's like, no, but I'm shooting with Xena Kai. And
Yeah.
I was like, word? like, damn dog, yeah.
He's always so chill. He doesn't say like
Exactly.
he's shooting or
He
whatever,
never-
but he's like
Yeah.
really
Exactly.
excited about you.
Yeah.
So
If
that's
you-
why I'm calling him out right now.
Yeah.
So tell me,
Usually-
like,
yeah.
can you give us like, because me and Kim were talking about this. We're like, we never. Marvin's like, cut this.
hey.
But me and Kim were like, because Marvin says he's nervous, but we've never like seen it, and when you describe it now, thinking about it, I'm like, huh, interesting. Because it obviously meant something for him. Like obviously it was a big deal, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So can you kind of share a little bit about that of like, because obviously he's
Yeah.
quiet. He says he's quiet.
Yeah,
but,
in my head, I'm just like, I thought I was like being normal as possible. It's like, what was it in you?
You're not. You're like Phoebe from Friends carrying the tray of surgical equipment. That's you when you're
I thought I was
nervous.
playing it cool the whole time.
No, man.
In my head, it was like, oh, the interaction felt so good. Like, I
Maybe-
was like, yeah, I did good.
I got ice cream. You know what I mean?
Okay, maybe it's because I'm just
Hyper
observant
Yeah.
Yeah,
of everything.
Mhm.
that's cool though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I hit up MizziMie. I was like, hey, we should hang out and maybe do like a cute photo shoot.
Yeah.
Maybe just like eating, ice cream. Like just hanging out at the park, just
Yeah.
like cute. I just
Yeah.
wanted like something like girl next door, like just
Nice.
fun and hang, like just be friends.
Just chill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did that. That's how I met Marvin, and I could tell he was really nervous because he wasn't talking as much, and I could also tell like his demeanor. And so I'm not sure if you've noticed this, or if you probably didn't notice, but I was trying to ask whenever I would talk to you, the questions I would ask you were always open ended, so that you
Mm.
talk more and felt more welcomed.
Aw.
How and on your side
Yeah.
of that, how
He
did
probably-
respond?
He probably doesn't remember.
Oh no, I mean like I remember that situation clearly. All I thought was just like, all right, cool, like just keep it cool, Marvin. Just like just do your best, just show good value, right? Because it's like, it's like in my head, I'm just like, again, at that time, I had already wanted to step into like the import scene because
Yeah.
like I met Sabrina, and like I wanted like to shoot more of that.
Mhm.
And in my head, I'm just like, it just kind of like lined up that one day, like when I started manifesting wanting to shoot for like import scene,
Mhm.
right? Like there you are, like
Mhm.
in front of me,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, do not talk about business, Marvin. Do not, like, do not
Do not-
spoiler. Shut the fuck up. You're horrible at this.
Just-
you always
just
talk
be
about business,
chill.
right? Just like do
Wow.
not like sway her off, right?
Okay.
So I'm just like, in my head, I'm just like, yeah,
Say nothing. Say
just like,
nothing.
just like
True.
do as little words as possible, right? Because that's how I was. It's like, I mean, I in my head, I'm just like, all right, cool. Like, for sure, I was holding myself back
Yeah.
in terms of like nervous. Sure, I was probably nervous, but in my head, I'm just like, once you start thinking about you're nervous, you're definitely shaking, So I'm just like, I just do my best to just like, just play it cool, just play it cool, just like whatever they want to do, let's just do it. Like I got
Yeah.
it, right?
Okay,
Like,
so I don't remember the exact details of all the conversations we
Mhm.
had
'Cause
during
at
our
that
first
time-
meeting, but I remember I would talk to MizziMie and then she would talk, and then you were just so quiet. I would ask you something, and then you'd be like, "Oh yeah, blah 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 blah."
yeah.
And then
I
I
was
was
just like,
like,
yeah,
I was like, "Oh,
that
man."
was my way to just shut up and like not talk about business because it was just like I came there for like print signing too. Remember
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Mhm.
just like want to go like say something, then shut the fuck up, and just like usually the way I am, right? It's like if you give me free reign of the fuck to talk about,
You
sorry, I'll talk about business all day long. That's the
Yeah,
only
yeah.
thing that goes in my head.
I have to
Same.
stop him from talking
Yeah.
sometimes.
Tell
Don't
everyone
just-
that story when we went to SF.
Oh yeah, so a little side note here,
There
a
was
little just
obviously that-
going off on another tangent.
Yeah.
Let's go, baby.
We are driving to San Francisco together from Los Angeles to work with another popular import model.
Mm.
Okay. Now, this guy was just so nervous. All he did was talk business during the fucking trip, man. I'm trying to fucking listen to music. What is this? Yeah, so I had to stop him. I had to stop Marvin, and I had to tell him, I'm like, okay, say this one thing, finish this, but for the rest of the drive, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, she was like this. She was like that. I remember this so clearly. I was like, all right, Marvin, let's talk about business for 10 minutes, then let's never talk about business
Yes.
at all. I was just like, shutting the fuck up. Sorry. But yeah, it's like, that's kind of the thing. It's like, I knew I didn't want to mess it up,
Mhm.
like with Xena, because I'm like,
Sure.
oh, fuck, like, this is like, she's huge. And I'm just like, fuck, I'm just this, like, this imposter syndrome, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just want to be like the best as I could be. And then when she would ask me like questions, answer it, and then just shut up. That's it. Like,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, hey man, I just wanted to play my cards right.
Yeah.
Nervous or not.
Oh man, that's funny. Dude, I don't know about you, Kim. I'm eating this up. This is fucking great, dude.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh my god.
Cheers.
Oh my god. But yeah,
hella
that's
funny.
in my head. I was like, definitely not. Like I wasn't nervous, but like I guess it's like sure thing. Like if you're holding your words
Oh,
back,
man.
that could easily be counted as nervous.
Yeah. But even during our okay, so I met you with Mizzy,
Mhm.
and then I think maybe it was like 2 weeks later I contacted you.
Mhm.
I don't remember. I know it was within 1 month.
It was within 1 month.
Because I wanted to do Patreon, and I
Mhm.
had one. It just wasn't up and running, and I
Mhm.
wanted to, I needed to work with a photographer,
Mhm.
and picking a photographer is really hard. Okay,
Yeah.
it's just extremely difficult. Even if their work is good,
Mhm.
it's hard to build a trust with them.
Mm.
So Mizzy spoke highly of you,
Oh, thanks, man.
and
Mizzy.
I was like, okay, well, if she's saying good things about him and she's happy working with him, then I know that I would be happy working
Mhm.
with you.
Mhm.
And so I was like, okay, I'll just like try to build something with Marvin, because I honestly don't want to be taken advantage of.
Mhm.
Being there's just a lot of horror stories that go
Mhm.
on with this, and
Oh yeah.
it's it's like a thing in the industry that you have to be
Yeah.
like. All models have to be very conscious of.
Yeah.
So
Always bring a friend. Don't
Yeah.
meet up like random situations. So
mhm.
and then yeah,
Mhm.
I know how. I mean, I don't know how that feels because I'm
Yeah.
not a model. But at the same time, like I have so many friends who've just been taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge
Mhm.
problem. So I knew that since I was like, okay, well, Mizzy worked with him on a monthly basis,
Mhm.
and she says good things about him.
Yeah.
And I met him. I was like, well, he was kind of nervous and shy, but I mean, he seemed nice. So I was like, okay, so then I'll just like, I'll see if he wants to work with me, and then
Mhm.
maybe we could like work together
Mhm.
and build something together.
Yeah.
And so, I contacted Marvin,
Yeah.
and we spoke about details on the phone, and then we did our first photo shoot for Patreon in LA.
Mhm.
I guess so, second photo shoot overall.
Right. Mhm.
But yeah, first photo shoot was just like me and him. Oh my god, this guy was still nervous.
Oh, like
Was the photo shaky? With the photo shaky?
I was like, you can't freaking blame me. Holy shit.
Okay. So
I'm like, this is like, yo, guys, this is
great.
like episode Xena Kai, not episode Call Out Marvin.
Fucking roasting Marvin. No, I love
but
this. Keep going. Keep going.
okay, so now when I shoot with Marvin, we have to stop ourselves from talking.
Yeah.
Because it will last hours.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to stop
just-
ourselves from talking. We're like, okay, here, we just finish this, focus, and then we can
Then we
relax later.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But during this, and that's good. That means like there's chemistry there.
Yeah, there's
We're like
rapport,
good friends.
there's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. During this first shoot, he was so quiet. I still had to ask him a whole bunch of questions. I still had to really try to comfort you. I don't know if you noticed I was doing this.
I didn't. Like, I was just nervous. In my head, I was just like, don't fuck this shit up. Don't fuck this shit up.
Okay, well,
It's-
Okay, you probably don't notice. You probably did not notice because you were nervous. But
yeah.
like you know me now, and you know that around people I'm more quiet.
Mhm. For sure.
Yeah. He like 100%. You agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
If I meet someone and they're very quiet, I will talk more to make them
Mhm.
feel comfortable.
That's
Yeah.
very kind of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like the first time I worked with him, he was still like super. Or second time, we did our first shoot together, just you and me.
Mhm.
And you were still super nervous, and I could tell, and so I was talking a lot.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I was very much happy with that because I felt like at peace. I was like, it's not awkward silence. Like you're willing to go ahead and carry the conversation. I hope your back didn't hurt.
It still hurts. It still hurts,
It
man.
still hurts. Yeah. But yeah, dude, man, to be honest with you, it's like I'm going on blank right now. What was our very first shoot?
The very first shoot, I had an apron, and we had flour. We were in my kitchen in my 500 square foot apartment.
Yeah.
It was so
Wow.
small. It was so
This
small.
was the burger shoot, right?
No,
No, it wasn't.
no, it was
The-
a kitchen one. I was wearing an apron.
Apron. Okay.
And then the second set was this pink feather robe.
No, so the flower one. We had the flower on the floor.
No.
Just too nervous to remember.
Somebody
Sorry,
take
I need
the
water.
bottle away
I
from
need
Marvin.
water. I'm sorry.
This is good. This is
Thanks.
good.
Can I have some of this
Yeah.
water?
Can I ask a question by chance?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think, because obviously I know we're really having a good time. I want to be respectful of your time too. So I kind of want to close it out with one, one thought, which is model photographer relationship. Very difficult, very kind of hard to find a good balance. So for those out there that are trying to like get into the industry or like up and coming models that are trying to find a good photographer, do you happen to have any advice on how to do that based on your relationship with Marvin? Like, what is that like? Your guys' dynamic? Yeah.
Always check references.
Mhm.
I cannot stress that enough because there's one. Oh God. I'm lucky I did not work with this person, but there's one photographer who's very popular who was the main photographer of this super popular model. And, so when you look at this person's profile, then all you see is like, okay, he's working with this person and this person's really popular and she's always working with him. So then he must be really good.
Right.
But there are so many horror stories of that guy. Like countless horror stories. And I just you just have to check your references.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More
And
personal.
Not just one person, but like ask multiple models to make sure that this person is nice.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will take advantage of you.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what type of things did Marvin demonstrate then at that point when it came to like a photographer that you're looking for?
He was consistently working with multiple models.
Okay.
During our first shoot, he was extremely nice. During our second shoot, he was very respectful. MizziMie said a whole bunch of nice things with him. And so I was like, okay, well, if MizziMie says all these things and he was respectful he was nice when I met him and he's constantly working with multiple models every month, I was like, okay, this person is that person that I should work with.
Would there be any like tips or advice for photographers to reach out to models to make sure like everything is like
Like
good
how-
communication or like
Like, how would you like feel like a respectful way for photographers to reach out to you?
Wait, to me
Or
or
to
just in
mo- or
general?
in
Because
general.
In general.
okay, so if a photographer reaches out to you, he should allow you to bring another person to the shoot, so that you're comfortable.
Yeah.
He should explain like he should ask you what you're comfortable with versus what you're not comfortable with because a lot of photographers will push for more. So if I get the vibe from a photographer, there's another photographer from last year I was gonna collab with, but he kept pushing and pushing, and I was like, okay, well I know that if he's doing this much in emails or messages, I know that in person he's gonna want more, and I just honestly don't feel comfortable with that. Yeah. So just he or she should always respect your boundaries.
Absolutely.
And if he or she ever pushes your boundaries, don't even bother working with that person.
because if they push you via email or text, then who knows what would happen when you guys see each other. you
Yeah,
know?
and then there's some people who they don't allow you bringing an escort.
Yeah, that's tough. That's like the major red flag.
Like the
Yeah.
one thing I used to be a photographer, so I wouldn't even wait for the models to ask the question. I would say, let me know who you want to bring. You're more than welcome to bring anyone you want, and let me know what you prefer and what you do not want to do,
Yeah.
Then now it makes it to where you care about the model and their safety.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But some people will switch this. They'll say, "Oh, in the past I've had trouble and problems with jealous boyfriends, so I just prefer not to have
Wow.
anyone else there." Yeah,
like,
they'll say that.
Wow.
And
In my
that
head,
right
it's
there
like-
is like the biggest
Yeah.
red
It's
flag.
in my head, I'm just like, if you're a professional, you'll make it work. Like,
Exactly.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter who's like breathing
Yeah.
down your neck. You know, you should be there to like get the shots and like perform.
That's it.
And you know, it's kind of shitty because there was a point in time where everyone was like getting outed as like person to take advantage,
Mhm.
and it's like it really put like a bad perspective into like all photographers,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it was just the time when coming up when I was like booking models in like hotel rooms,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? And I'm just like, guys, I understand like the uncertainty of like, you know, the current like situation.
Yeah.
It's like if you guys want to come in an hour early, scout out the entire place, make sure that there's nothing like fishy going on. You guys are more than welcome to do that.
Mhm.
Bring as many friends as you guys want. We'll have a party, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
As long as we can get like work done together.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it's very important for just, you know, aspiring photographers to like make sure to accommodate every single model needs to a certain extent,
Mhm.
and like
Of course.
always prioritize your model safety above
Mhm.
else.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we can make like a legit
Yeah.
ass PCA about that and a whole like episode
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about
for
like
sure.
that type of etiquette.
What to do and what
Yeah.
not to do.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. we should-
Because honestly, I really don't feel like there are any resources out there available to like up and coming photographers and models for them to learn from.
Right.
And that's why I feel like it was pretty important to bring that up, at least during the
Yeah.
conversation, because
Mhm.
you know both of you guys are respected members of the
Mhm.
community.
Right.
You obviously have the experience, and I feel like that's definitely
Yeah.
worthwhile. So,
For sure.
yeah.
But yeah,
So
man, that's like a wild ride. So like that puts you in like the present. Like
Mhm.
yeah, now
So-
we're here.
Yeah.
See,
yeah,
we're
now
here.
we're here.
We're
Like
Vegas.
okay, like dang,
Fine.
that's
Hold on.
Yeah.
Woo! Vegas, baby!
yeah, no,
We're here now.
Yeah.
We're here now.
So no,
Dang.
it's wild, right? Because it's like you go on from like it's like a roller coaster with you. It's like always like different changing path, but
Yeah.
one kind of like recurring theme that I see from this whole story from you is that one, it's like you're very receptive to people's advice,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and then two, you like the moment there's like a situation that you're put in, like you always do your best. Like
Mhm.
it's like this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do my best to just like be good at it, like get the best things there is. And it's like is that a learned ability or is that something you feel like you just grew up with? Like,
Ponder.
yeah,
Did I always?
yeah. Did you
Oh,
always
God.
strive to be the best, even when you were younger? Or was that something you're just like, oh, fuck it, like I'm gonna do this. Like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this right.
Okay, so when I was younger, I didn't have confidence.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Hold on, let me think. I
Yeah.
have to think of this because I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh my god.
Is that such a
Let's
profound
see.
question? Like,
Okay, so the best way I could explain this is I grew up in a unhealthy household,
mhm.
and I knew I wanted more than that. And a
Mhm.
big driving factor in everything that I do is that I don't want to be like my parents
Mm.
ever.
Mm.
You know, and like someday I'll have a family of my own and I want to teach them that they could do whatever they want. And how could I teach them that if I'm not an example of that?
Absolutely,
Sure.
So
yeah.
whatever I want to do, like I could wake up tomorrow and be like, oh my God, I want to like bake brownies for dogs.
Dude, it's crazy.
And then
It's
I'll like try to do that. I don't
like,
know. It's just me though.
Like, so it kind of goes back to the idea of like her want like being the best, right? It's
Exactly.
like this girl over quarantine and like, we're still in pandemic right now, right?
yeah.
And it's like started wanting to cook, and suddenly he was just like cooking like all the
Like,
good stuff. I'm
new
just
stuff,
like, what
yeah.
the heck?
Have
You're
you
so good at it.
seen my cooking?
I
Have you
have.
seen?
It's great.
I
Oh
have.
my god.
Okay, here,
Honestly.
let me. Okay, I'm not
Oh
even
my
going to
God.
show you all the
All right,
pictures.
you guys know how much I love to cook steaks.
Yes,
right?
correct.
And like she just cooked steak like the other day, and look at this piece of steak. It's like, what the fuck? It's
Did you put
like,
yours to shame?
huh?
Did you put yours to
Dude,
shame?
in my head, I'm just like, bro, that looks so much better than mine. It's
Oh my
like,
I'm not even. Okay, here. These. Okay, here.
can you,
I'm
like,
not going to
can you
show
put,
you.
like, the steak here?
Okay, I'm not going to show you the.
Xena Kai steaks right here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to show you the picture of the steak.
What are you?
I'll show you a picture of cupcakes that I made.
Okay.
Oh.
Even better.
See,
Oh my god.
right?
That's so dope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are cupcakes.
That's creative.
Okay.
It's like you're just showing off, man.
Mm.
Showing
Yeah.
off
Hungry.
that.
No, but
Hungry.
yeah, I don't know. I think I've always I think the reason why I'm above average in my random hobbies is because I do a lot of I like researching.
Nice.
I don't
do
know.
You
I
just
just
consider it like a problem solving. Like, how do you make it look like that? And then you just like break down the problem, and then
I think so.
It's just
I think it's just like trying to figure it out, and I'm just like, oh, I want to do this, and then I'll just like, Google it, and then read on Reddit and see like, oh, hey, these people say this, so next time I should do this, and then it'll be a good product that I come out with.
Yeah, it just goes back to the recurring theme of like being really receptive of people's advice, right?
Yeah, and I don't know where that stems from, or like I don't know the exact thing that it stems from. I think it's just because, I grew up in an unhealthy household and I just want to be as far as that as possible. And, someday I will have children of my own and I just want them to know that they could do anything because I was told that I couldn't do anything.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
probably it.
It was more like you didn't have
Honestly.
guidance like back then.
Yeah.
Now you have your friends who, give you a little bit of guidance. So you're kind of
Yeah, it was
taking
like, it was like,
You're just very
imagine.
spiteful, and you just want to prove people wrong.
No. It's not
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
spiteful.
I'm kidding.
It's not a spiteful thing because
kidding.
when you come from that, you really have to change.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
yeah, you have to like
exactly.
change the way you think. Even like relationships, you have to change. Like how you view relationships.
Yeah.
You have to completely reprogram the way you view relationships if you come from a toxic situation.
Yeah.
And okay, so one thing is like I grew up and everything I did, I was told that it wasn't enough and not good enough. So you have to reprogram the way you think. So like, okay, well, instead of thinking that you're not good enough, just tell yourself, okay, well, I may be not the greatest at this, but how could I improve? You know what I mean? So you tell yourself, like, okay, well, instead of telling yourself you're bad at this, tell yourself you're trying to improve it.
Yeah.
There's
And then-
potential, right?
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So to comment on Kim and I actually had a discussion while we are on break about like hearing your story because actually I wanted to ask you in any prior interviews or podcasts or anything like that, like have you ever gone this in depth with like your backstory at all? Okay, so just curious because I didn't really know. Well, one thing Kim and I talked about was like this is kind of a testament to like yours and Marvin's relationship because of how much you've built that trust, right? And hopefully me and Marvin and the rest of the team have made you feel comfortable about sharing and opening yourself up to kind of everything that we're talking about. But Kim made like this analysis, like a little bit about your backstory. Do you want to talk about it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the one thing I really took away from this is that no matter how unsure you are about your goals or passion, right? You might be like you're doing one thing and then the next year you're doing another. Like it doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful. You might be taking a little detour, but at the end, like as long as you're making progress, you're going to figure it out along the way.
Sure.
And what I believe is like it's the part of the journey.
Yeah.
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 So I appreciate like everything that you've shared to us
thank
and
you.
to our
Yeah.
audience will too.
It's great that to add into that is that no matter how much your life goes swerve, like it's for you never see it as like a bad path.
Exactly.
You're always like progressing. You're always
Yeah.
like moving forward. Like it doesn't matter if it's like it's kind of like you deviated from your dreams. You're
Yeah.
still always like just progressing one way or another.
Yeah. And I don't even think that me going to college,
Mhm.
trying to pursue computer science and tech,
Mhm.
I don't think that was a bad path. And I feel like whatever you could do, whatever you want to do, you could 100% do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what you're trying to explain is like even from this day, like your path is unpaved. Like you could even do even more, something else different
Yeah.
from today. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to. What's that one saying? Stay in your lane. I think that's very toxic.
Yo.
Well, I just think that like, if you just really want to do something that's completely different than what you're doing or whatever your friends are doing.
True.
If you really feel that, then go ahead and do that. There's no,
Absolutely.
and even till this day, like I make a good living from modeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm somewhat successful in it. But if I also think that I could still be successful in something else that's unrelated to modeling and unrelated to technology. Like if I woke up tomorrow and there is no technology and there is no modeling, I still feel as if I could succeed in something brand new, something unrelated that I've, something that I've never done before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually like super happy that you said that, because it's like James and I were talking about it before. It's like some people just have the capability or the mindset, like if they go ahead and like be dropped off in like the middle of like nowhere, they would find a way. Like they just have the mentality and capability to just like build a foundation and like create something from nothing.
And you know what those people tell themselves? If someone else could do it, why can't I?
Boom.
Dang, nice young James. If you can do it, why can't you do it? Or something. Yeah. Nice.
No, but that's it's crazy because it's like not everyone has that mentality.
So true.
Yeah. Not everyone is cut out to be like a business not everyone's cut out to be a business person, right? And it's like, like it's also, to add to that, is that a lot of people think like being a personality online or like doing certain things like, oh, that's easy, right?
It's not.
It's not. It's like being your own.
It is so hard.
It's multiple jobs in one.
It's multiple jobs in one. You have to learn how to run a business. You have to learn how to network. You also you also need to know and learn marketing,
money
management, all of that.
Yeah, being able to balance.
Yeah,
it's so much work, and people think it's so easy, but all these influencers, personalities, models, whatever you want to call them, they're all working.
True.
Yeah.
Over out
24 hours a day.
They're working constantly.
They're working in their sleep, right, Marvin?
Like that's
in the car ride too.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the dream. All right. Okay. So I feel like this is a good point to start wrapping things up.
Because I'm hungry. I want food.
Kill that whole bottle of wine right there. It's time for us to get some food. Did you have fun, and would you come back?
No. No, just kidding.
All right.
I'm kidding. No, I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for inviting me because I am a fan.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
She gets a sticker for that. There you go.
Yeah, appreciate you coming.
I get 2 stickers.
You get 3.
Oh my God, I'm getting paid extra.
Nice.
Thank you.
No, but what's next for you, Xena? It's like, I like you. This whole podcast has come like you've come full circle, right?
Yeah.
Like Vegas, like San Diego, LA, back to San Diego, San Francisco, LA, then now back to Vegas. You're completely full circle.
Yeah.
What's in store for you?
Ooh, I want to know this too.
Yeah.
Okay. So I graduated college with over $100,000 of debt, and currently I'm at $50,000 of debt. So that's a little over a year.
So that's like $50K in less than a year.
50K in a year.
Wow.
In a year.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah, but the majority of that was during the last couple months. So
wow.
Yeah. So business has been popping up for you.
That's great.
It's booming.
Hey,
what is it? That's a DJ Khaled, right?
Yeah. Booming. So that's good. Moving here to Vegas.
Yes.
I
followed Marvin here.
Yeah, I think the question is like, what are y'all gonna be doing together?
Yeah, what's the
plan? I threatened, it's just like, yo, if you don't come here in Vegas, like I'm gonna stop shooting with. I'm kidding. I've been very fortunate for her to stick together in like the business partnership and all that.
Nice.
But yeah, it's like, again, what's in store?
Yeah, so with modeling, that's my main thing. I'm always gonna want to do it, even if I'm 60.
Yeah,
that's just
it's your passion.
That's
it's
good.
just I just need to do it. Okay?
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's a drug.
Yeah. So then I'm still other things. I mean, of course, like personal. I want to like pay off my loans.
Nice.
I want to retire early.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I'm constant, like early as in like, okay, so I'm 28 right now. I want to retire by maybe like 36.
Wow.
Damn.
Less than 10 years? Yeah, that's
All
doable.
right.
Yeah, so I do like a lot of like research in that.
Yeah.
And I know what it
Are you part of that group? It was like, what is that, FIRE group?
Yeah, it's a financial independence, retire early. So if you're not familiar, if you're watching this right now, you're not familiar, you think it's like completely crazy. But what these people do is they make money, they save the majority of their money, they put this money in investments, and the investments, you know, there's a return on investment, right?
Compound interest.
They live off of the compound interest. Yeah, and there some people, you don't have to make a lot of money. Some people do it making 40, 50,000 a year and they retire early. Other people, they're overachievers and then they end up retiring with a fat stack of 10 million. Okay, I just call these people rich. Like I don't know why they're like I read this in the so I'm on Reddit every day. And I read this in the community and I see, I have 5 million in this and another million in this, and then maybe I could live off of the interest, which is over 10,000 a month. And in my mind, I'm just like, dude, you're rich, man. This is just extra credit for you. Please.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Really?
Yeah.
Please stop.
But it's like, well, were they always rich, or they built up that sum of wealth?
The majority of them started out with $0.
Wow. So,
there's other people who post too. They came from a good family. But even just reading, I said I like research, so this is like the thing I'm researching right now. Even the ones who came from a good background and good families, they'll be really open to talking about how they made their own money and what they're doing and what their investments are in. And then you get to just like read all of this. And, like I said, people do it on, $40,000, $50,000 salaries.
Yeah.
And then you get to see what they're invested in, what they're doing. And then, some people, after they retire, whatever money they pull from their investments, tax free.
Yeah,
which is a huge thing. They know exactly how much to pull out of each account. To live tax free for the rest of their lives. And I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, holy crap! Here I am. My net worth is negative 50,000. How do I get there? Type of thing. Yeah.
Holy crap!
That's crazy. That's an entire skill to talk about.
Jesus Christ. Next episode.
Nice.
Wait, no. Next episode, as in like when my net worth is 0.
Okay,
that's
sure.
See you in 6 months.
That's good. Yeah, but Xena, thank you so much. It's been like such a lovely time hanging out with you. Man, this is already our 4th break, so it's like 2 hours. 2 hour podcast.
Yeah.
I had fun though. Time flew.
Legitimately. I thought I just sat down here and now my wine is gone.
I have it. I'm sorry.
The bottle's empty.
Yeah, it's legitimately empty. I'm just doing pouring.
That's good shit. Where can people find you if anyone wants to reach out or follow your stuff?
At Xena Kai.
Nice.
All across the board?
Yeah, all across the board. Xena-kai.com. And then Instagram is at XENAKAI. And that's everywhere. Like literally everywhere.
Perfect.
There you go. Nice. Any last shout outs to our audience or any parting words of advice for anybody out there? It's hard to put it on you.
Yeah.
I just want to thank my buns. No, just kidding. Okay, so if you want to do something, you should just do it, because everyone told me I couldn't succeed in modeling when I was, before I modeled. No, everyone told me like, oh, you're 5'2", and you're short, so you can't do it.
Yeah.
And then also when I wanted to do computer science, all my friends told me no. And even if you want to do something and everyone's telling you no, but there's something inside of you that's telling you yes, you should just do it anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Because no matter what you do, it's like people are always going to be against. Like there's always some people that's going to be against. So you might as well just do it.
Damn.
Oh, that's great.
That's some good ass advice. Shit. If you weren't paying attention, I hope that shit woke you up. Because that's some pretty real shit right there.
That's true.
So, Yeah. All right. Any closing remarks.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie here.
Yeah.
This is like probably I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but this is probably like the most heartfelt kind of podcast.
Super wholesome. I love
we've
it.
done.
This
And
is good shit.
we've gone like heartfelt. Like, we've kind of ranted about our life too, but like this is like I don't know. There's something about today that's just like nice, chill, and like maybe it's the wine,
maybe it's
right?
the wine.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's like a nice change of pace, and
It is. Yeah, compared to last night's crackhead energy, and then going to this. Yeah, this is great.
Crazy.
But that's the beauty of it, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, us doing this consistently, like we're kind of. I feel like the lucky one because I feel like I'm like the theme that we have is like being a fan with access. So we get the chance to like really break down a lot of the success principles that not everyone gets a chance to see, along with like learning more about your backstory. I think obviously there's a lot of value in that. So, yeah, again, just thank you so much for coming through. This was like super fun.
You're welcome.
All right. To close this out, again, follow all of our shit. You obviously know all of our stuff as Marvin, Kim, me, Young James, Tina's over there too.
Yeah.
We'll plug everyone's stuff. But thanks everybody for watching, listening, wherever you are. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.
Like